I'm Peter Drummey. I'm a historian and librarian at the Massachusetts Historical Society, and I guess I'm in my 43rd year working at the MHS. Mum Bet, Elizabeth Freeman, as she named herself when she became free as the result of a famous lawsuit in 1781, is a remarkable figure. The striking thing about her is, for someone who's both extraordinary in their own right and someone who plays a really important role in Massachusetts history, we know so little about her. There are records that include her name. She's described by contemporaries, and there's a long, vivid account of her life written by Catherine Maria Sedgwick, a novelist, the daughter of the person who represented Elizabeth Freeman in court, suing for her own freedom. Mum Bet, and I'll use her names interchangeably. Mum Bet was born in New York, across the border from Massachusetts, came to Massachusetts as property. That is, she was essentially came with a woman from New York who was to marry John Ashley, a man of some importance who lived in Sheffield and the Berkshires in Western Massachusetts. We don't know when Mum Bet was born. At the time of her death in 1829, people thought she was probably about 85 years old, but like many enslaved people, she wouldn't have known much about her early life or even the date of her birth. The portrait is wonderful, and this is a little, we call it a miniature portrait, but it's sort of larger than the traditional miniature portraits of the day. It was painted in 1811, and it's by Susan Ridley Sedgwick. So Susan Ridley, who was an author and a painter, an amateur painter, was the sister-in-law of Catherine Maria Sedgwick, who also a writer, a novelist who had written the description of Mum Bet. The portrait shows her formally dressed in a blue dress that's drawn together with drawstrings in the style of the day, with a head covering. The face is very, I think, realistic within Susan Sedgwick's ability to paint it. So it's probably a pretty good depiction of Mum Bet. And what's wonderful about the portrait is she's wearing a little gold bead necklace. And this gold bead necklace enters into the story as well, because she gave it to Catherine Maria Sedgwick, and somewhere along the way, it either lost beads or changed fashion, so that Catherine Maria Sedgwick made it into a double strand bracelet. And that's how it's come to us in the 19th century, as a bracelet. But it's a real physical connection to her own property. She worked as a servant and nanny within the Sedgwick family household for many years, but she owned property, personal property, and even a house in her own right. She had an existence, a long life as a free person in the early decades of the 19th century. Again, dying in 1829. She's the only person buried in the Sedgwick burial ground, called Sedgwick Pie because it's circular, but she's the only non-Sedgwick buried there. And that's because I think her connection with the Sedgwick children as a nanny was a very strong personal one, connection to them, and considered to be a member of their extended family.